What's up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? Pyrostasis here, and wanted to kind of answer a few questions today. Um, we are going to be on Minecraft. This is the Stratosphere server that I have, or not server, I guess I should say map pack that I have set up. And we're going to kind of continue on with that, but it's really not going to be so much about the gameplay. It's mainly just going to be me talking to you guys today. I've got to get some stuff farmed up real quick so I can go back over to the island and avenge myself from the evil bastards who killed me yesterday. So that'll probably take me about 20 minutes to get everything set back up probably and replant it, and I need to harvest my stuff over there, etc, etc. So during that time, I'm just going to chat and answer a few questions. Sorry, I had to clear my throat. Yesterday, one of my Twitter followers asked me, well, actually, it wasn't yesterday, it was about 2 or 3 days ago, but I got busy and forgot. He asked me specifically, how YouTube copyright works, how the partnership system works, and what all's involved with that. And a couple other people have asked how I got started in YouTube, what made me get started, why, what made me choose YouTube, etc., etc. So I'm going to at least cover the copyright and partnership and all of that today. I may not get into all of it because, it's quite a bit of stuff. So we'll see, but we're going to start off with the copyright stuff. So the basics of the way copyright works, at least with YouTube, there's a little bit of debate, specifically with gaming. Anytime you use anything that is somebody else's, whether it is software, video, music, etc., etc., copyright is at issue. You don't own what you're using, so therefore, you can't claim it for commercial use. Now, you can upload a lot of stuff for non-commercial use, and most people aren't going to give you any shit about it. But once you try to be commercial with it, i.e. monetize your videos, which is what I and many other folks on YouTube that are trying to do this for a living do, that's when you have to have permission from the copyright holder for commercial purposes. So it's, the same reason you can't go and, sign up for Netflix and then set up a big projection screen in your house and charge admission for Netflix. You wouldn't be able to do that because obviously that would be against the law. Well, what happens is fair use comes in. Now, fair use, you are allowed to do certain things with copyright under fair use. Now, I would like to say as a disclaimer, this is my interpretation of fair use from my research, etc., etc. So please don't take this as legal advice, and don't take it as, the Bible of YouTube-ness, because it is quite possible that I'm a little off a little bit, or maybe even a lot. So, just be careful. You have to kind of do your own research and decide what you want to do yourself. So anyways, back to fair use. Why did I do that? The way fair use works is, if I use, let's say, a Call of Duty video, and then I put my commentary in there, then that commentary falls under fair use, because I took it and I kind of made it my own. It's not really the game footage that you're there for. You're there for the commentary. You're there for what I've created, so to speak. And what I've created with that commentary is supposed to be covered under fair use, which means I can monetize that and be just fine. It's kind of similar to what like IGN would do with a video review or something along those, or game trailers would do, stuff like that. And most of the time, game companies really don't have a problem with that because it's free advertising. You are there, you are promoting their game, you're talking about their game, you're getting the word out for their game, and these companies pay tons of money. So people who, like, for instance, my channel was huge on Skyrim up until recently. So, that's a lot of advertisement for Skyrim that they're not having to pay for. Now I'm not super huge, but, I did get, I think it was about 1.2 million views between November and February. Yeah, that's 1.2 million people that, saw something about Skyrim, and, Bethesda didn't have to pay for it. And, that's a big deal. That's a win-win for them, because I make a little something to allow me to feed my family and, cover my gaming addiction, and they sell more copies of the game, which makes them even more filthy rich, so they can afford to, snort coke off of, hot girls' butts. Anyways, the problem runs into YouTube's interpretation of fair use. Now, from what I have understood, as long as you are putting commentary on the video, you're not using copyrighted music, you're not, what do you call it? As long as your commentary is, as long as the video, et cetera, or you're providing education, anytime you're doing a guide or a tip or a trick or a tutorial, that's covered under fair use. The gray area seems to come into things like Call of Duty, like montages. You're technically taking game footage and cutting it, et cetera, but you're not really changing it. So montages are kind of a gray area. Commentaries that are exactly as long as video. Like let's say I did a 15-minute Call of Duty gameplay, and then I commentated on it for 12 to 15 minutes. Well, I'm not really doing anything to that game other than adding my commentary. Now, if I were to, pause it and talk and then re-engage, I don't know if you guys watch Day 9, but, if I do kind of like what he does with StarCraft, that's obviously adding significant more value to the video, and it's more you, so to speak. And in those situations, that's a clear-cut case. But when it's very close to the original product, how much you're actually contributing gets kind of a gray area. Well, YouTube in that circumstance basically takes the safe way. Oh shit! I thought that was full grown. Oh well. YouTube takes kind of the safe way out, and they basically, if you don't add significant setups, like if it's not educational, et cetera, you can't monetize it. Now, that's not 100% true, because sometimes YouTube will let you monetize, sometimes they won't, and you can fight it if you want. But the problem with fighting YouTube is if you lose, you're screwed. This is a business, and it's kind of like arguing with your boss. Your boss tells you, well, no, you're wrong, and then you go and say, well, no, you're wrong, bitch, and then you do your best to prove it. Well, you have to really know your shit and really be able to prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt to win a fight with YouTube. And if you lose those, there's a strong possibility you can get your account suspended from AdSense, and then at that point you're screwed, because once your AdSense account is suspended, you are boned. They are pretty much the only, act in town. So you have to be very, very, very careful. Well, most of my Skyrim videos, at least early on, were all educational. They were tips and tricks, they were guides. I walked you through ways to do certain things, and, there wasn't an issue with me using those for commercial purposes. The problem comes in with Let's Plays. With Let's Plays, I don't own the game. I didn't create it. I don't own the setup, so I'm kind of at the mercy of YouTube, and YouTube sometimes lets me, YouTube sometimes doesn't. The problem runs into is every time you claim something and it doesn't go through, you basically get a slap on the wrist, and if you get enough slaps on the wrist, they kick you out of the program. Oh fuck, no bad zombie, no bad zombie, stupid zombie, where the fuck did you come from? Anyways, if you get enough slaps on the wrist, you basically get kicked out of the program. So that's why everybody signs up with these partnerships. Now, once you're partnered with one of the bigger networks, there's kind of two options. They have content management systems. Now, these content management systems, when I submit a video to YouTube, I monetize it, and it goes to an approval process. And then somebody at YouTube, which I think it's actually a robot at YouTube, but a robot at YouTube views my video, views my claim, and then makes a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Well, if you're with a network, the way it works is you plug into the CMS, and basically you just enter your magical code, or however they've got their CMS set up, and boom, it's monetized instantaneously, because YouTube pretty much considers, if you're partnered, you know what you're doing, and you're not fucking around. Well, partners can get in trouble too for copyright. If they consistently, which some networks have had problems with in the past, if they consistently break copyright rule, post music, etc., it gets around. They invest billions, and well, maybe not billions, but they spend a lot of fucking money making sure that their stuff is out there. And the reason why is you got companies like RIA and the MPAA that are all over YouTube. I mean, these guys are like the Gestapo of internet crime. And, you know, and I'm not saying that they're bad people or that they're wrong, but they're very, very aggressive in protecting their rights. And, you know, I can't really uh, say that's a bad thing. You know, for me as a little guy, it's kind of frustrating because it's very hard to get the rights from some of these companies sometimes. And a lot of times you're talking to a lawyer who doesn't understand. You know, it's like, I guess that's kind of a bad way to say it. But, you know, if I want to monetize my video to, that's a guide, that's usually considered a win-win for most companies, and most companies would agree. But a lawyer sitting in the office, he's just getting an email from some punk kid who's a small YouTube channel, and he wants to own the rights to our content? No, no. And they may not completely understand. I don't know. Maybe they do, and they're just dicks. But it's very hard sometimes with some companies to get the rights to do these videos. And in others, it's easy. But when you know bump into the music industry, RIA is very hardcore. You know, they're out there nailing things. So YouTube has to be very, very proactive. And YouTube basically is very strenuous with their programs. They're very thorough, and a lot of times there's false positives. You know, you did this. Like I had my Deus Ex series. My Deus Ex series got nailed for content match. So basically, what content match is, when you become a partner, you're able to submit some of your footage, or your music bites, or you know your graphics or whatever as your copyright. And YouTube's little bot swarm goes out there and finds matches for said content. And when they find matches, you have the option of either one, kicking the video off and giving the person a copyright strike. Once a person gets 3 copyright strikes, they are gone from YouTube. Or you can monetize the video for yourself. So it'd be like, let's say I made a Minecraft video, and this is a really bad option, but let's say I took, you know, I made a game, and in that game, you know, you know, people liked it and wanted to make commentaries of it. Well, I could content match my game, and then if you made a commentary on my game, I could monetize it on your channel. So even though it's your channel, I'm making money off of your work, even though it's technically my work, if that makes sense. And I'm kind of doing this from a biased perspective, and I'm trying not to be too biased, but basically, if you, they basically can make money, put the ads on your channel, and you're not making money off the videos on your channel, or at least that video on your channel. The person who created it is. So the problem, you know, if you're trying to make money doing this, is it's very hard to, you know, to deal with. Well, when it's a false content match, you own the rights, and they're claiming you don't. Well, now you got to fight that. And most of the time, like my Deus Ex videos, clever. Well, I'm not gonna say who. There was a group out there that content matched it. Well, they're a bigger group. They're not huge, but they're bigger. They do a little gaming, but they're primarily a gossip section. Well, anyways, I couldn't get a hold of them. I mean, I emailed their media contacts, I tweeted them, I commented on their channel. I, you know, short of driving over to wherever the hell they're based and banging on their door, I did everything I could, and they just ignored me. And, you know, that shuts my video down. And if you get too many of these, then you can't monetize anything. And it just gets really, really frustrating. And you're constantly, not constantly, but, you know, if you upload a lot like I used to, and pretty much still do compared to a lot of other people on YouTube, you do occasionally have to fight these. And sometimes it's once a month, sometimes it's 4 times a month. It's really, really annoying. And if you get a group that ignores your counterclaim, then you've basically got to sue them more or less to get it shut down. And hang on one second, guys. Sorry. There we go. Let me turn that to do not disturb. Beautiful. So you really have no recourse other than basically to file your own DMCA against them, and it gets nasty, and if you're wrong, it can really counteract you. Well, it gets very frustrating because you're constantly worrying, you know, is this video going to go through? You know, I would have my Let's Play series, I would upload 15 of my Let's Play series, and 10 of them would monetize, 5 of them wouldn't. And it's the same video. You know, it's the same series, they're the same length, same content, you know, same description type stuff, etc., etc., and it's hit and miss. Well, you know, after more research, I realized, you know, if I keep doing this, eventually I'm going to get banned, and it's just not worth it. You know, it's better to join a network because then you don't have to worry about it. You're protected by, you know, their big group, And it's kind of like joining a union, a union for YouTubers. And I'm not usually a big fan of unions, but in certain instances, it's really nice to have your ass covered. So what I'm basically doing now is I'm looking to join one of these bigger networks and basically be part of a team. And there are benefits and drawbacks to joining the networks. I'll probably cover that in a different video. But it's a better deal for me because at this point I don't have to worry about my account. I don't have to fight for copyright with all these other networks who are fraudulently claiming my work, even though it's really not their work, etc., etc. And it's just a lot easier. I can focus on doing what I like to do, which is, making videos, making content, talking to you guys, interacting with you guys, and I don't have to focus on, finding, the media contacts for all these different groups that, are doing this and that and trying to protect myself that way. Because I'm not a big, I don't have deep pockets. I don't have a lawyer. It's just, I can't afford to do that. So it's a better option for me. Now, if I was this is mainly a gaming niche issue. If I was making vlogs or video broadcasts or podcasts or, like real life machinima where you actually like record yourself doing game type related stuff, that stuff's all free and clear. That stuff's easy to prove that it's you because it's your ugly mug that's on the video. You shot it yourself, etc., etc. As long as you're not using copyright music, you're golden. Did somebody bust a hole open down there? Are they all falling to their death? Interesting. But, the gaming niche, you can't get partnered directly with YouTube very easily. It's almost impossible. You pretty much have to join Machinima, the Game Station, TGN, Yoush. I think there's another one like Vexer, or I don't know, something. There's a lot of little networks that you can join. There's a lot of big networks you can join, and you pretty much have to if you're wanting to make this a business. If you're wanting to do this long term. Otherwise, you're just going to run into trouble or have problems, etc., etc. So that is more or less YouTube copyright in, a 10, 15-minute video. Now I'm going to talk about what got me into YouTube. For me personally, I've been doing gaming related stuff and gaming community type stuff. I've run my own guilds and such in online games since I don't know, the late 90s. And it's just, it was something that kind of naturally worked for me. Well, I'm also kind of a business type guy. I'm an entrepreneur. I've done several little small web type stuff, small businesses and such like that. And it was just kind of a natural progression. And I started watching guys on YouTube, a couple years ago. And I was like, a lot of these guys have rather large followings, and at least for me personally, their content's kind of mediocre. There was one dude who was doing, I'm not gonna say any names, but he was doing like a Call of Duty video, and he was talking about how big his poop was last night. And I'm like, really? I mean, seriously? I understand that there's jokes aside, and there's some content, where you're just screwing around with your followers and having a good time, and that type of stuff is all good, and I'm not slamming on that type of content. But at the same time, when your channel basically revolves around just bizarre stuff like that, at least for me, it just seems weird. And I'm sure there's a niche out there that some people are interested in that stuff. Me, I'm not really particularly interested in the excretion habits of other people. So, I always thought it was a little weird. I was like, they're huge. He's got like 100,000 subscribers. I can do that. And so I started making videos for my guild, and my guild really liked it. Some of those videos got rather big, at least for me at the time, which was a couple thousand views, and it was growing quick. And I was like, this is interesting. And at that time, it was just basically for fun. I was just doing it with a couple friends, and it wasn't really serious. We never even thought about making it a job or making it a business, etc., etc. And then I decided to go back and finish up my degree. And when I was finishing up my degree, it was rather hard with the job I was currently working, because their schedule was ridiculous, and they They were a big company. They didn't give a shit. The market at the moment is kind of pro-employer. So, as employees, when, there's a ton of people that are willing to work, it's kind of hard to say, hey, I'm trying to go back to school, trying to better myself. I could kind of use these days off, to go to school. And so it was just easier, it's like, well, I like this. This seems to be kind of doing well for me. I'm not going to get rich doing it. I'm not making, a ton of money at this point, But it was fun. It's something that I can enjoy doing. It's something I can wake up in the morning and, I don't dread going to work. It's like, some days, no matter what you're doing, it becomes work. And people are like, man, you make games for a living. Well, yeah, but there's days when you wake up and it's like, man, I don't want to fucking play Minecraft today. But, that's that way with anything. Even porn stars, it's like, dude, I gotta go and I gotta do that nasty slag for like 4 hours while they try and videotape it, blah, blah, blah. So whatever you do, there's gonna be days you don't want to do it. But as far as jobs go, this one is amazing. It's absolutely badass. I get to do what I want to do when I want to do it. I get to make my own schedule, and like I said, I'm not making great money. It's a small thing, if anything. It's basically like a McDonald's job, if that. But it's something that I enjoy. And, it's growing, and hopefully over time it'll become something nice and big. We'll see. But that's more or less what got me started. I saw that there were other people doing it. They were being very, very successful, and I thought I could do better than they could. That may be a little arrogant of me, but I don't know. I think there are a lot of people on YouTube that are overrated. A lot of the bigger names don't interact with their subscribers hardly at all. I do my best to respond to everybody. Now then again, I am a fraction of the size of some of those bigger networks, so it's easier for me to say that. But I've heard people that are 1,500 subscribers that complain, oh man, I can't read all these emails and blah blah blah. It takes time. It's got to be something that you're driven to do. And I've always found that if you interact with your user base / customers / subscribers or followers or whatever you want to call it, you're going to do really well. Whereas if you don't, you may do good, but eventually it's going to turn around and bite you in the ass, because people like being listened to. People like knowing that if they have a question, a problem, a recommendation, that somebody's going to listen to it. And that's one of the things that customer service. I worked retail for about 7-8 years, and that was one of the things that was just ingrained into me is good customer service. And it's so hard to get good customer service nowadays. It's ridiculous. I know one of my my old bosses said, you can really tell when the economy is going downhill when you start getting good customer service at fast food joints. And it is a very true thing, because a lot of these places simply don't pay enough to get good people. And most good people don't hang around those type of places for very long. They get promoted, they get, move on to bigger and better pastures, and, it's amazing. You get these big companies that seem to just think, well, we're making $10 billion a week. We don't need to listen to the little guy anymore. But, the little guy is who pays your bills. Recently, Direct to Drive was purchased out by GameFly, and I loved Direct to Drive, and up until that point, I loved GameFly. One of the problems was GameFly wasn't able to move all the games over when they purchased them, and there was a communication breakdown. And there's people, they bought the company website moved over in January, and here we are almost in April, and still some of the games aren't there, and GameFly's just not communicating, and I don't know why. There's a lot of that type of stuff going on. There was a game named Darkfall where the servers were down for 10 hours before the company decided to communicate with its players. Modern Warfare 3, we've got lag compensation issues, we've got glitching and all that stuff, and the communication is just bad. And I don't understand why. It is very easy to hire somebody, at $10 an hour, $11 an hour, $15 an hour, and have them answer emails, get on Twitter. One of the things I love about Verizon is they have a very active Twitter customer support. If you have problems, there are people you can get on Twitter. Aeon was the same way when it launched. You could get a hold of people on Twitter if you had problems, and it was very, very easy to reach people, and they were very communicative. And I feel that's one of the things that, as things progress on, a lot of these bigger companies that have been around for a while before maybe technology got to where it is now, they just kind of got used to not having to interact with their players and their customers on a daily basis. But now that we're living in instant communication and such along those lines, it's too easy to communicate with your customers, and a lot of these companies just don't seem to feel the need or the necessity or whatnot. So I think I'm kind of rambling here, so we'll go ahead and finish it up. But that was kind of my whole thought process behind starting YouTube. Why I got started, why I run things the way I do, and hopefully, whether I've got 100,000 subscribers, 1,000,000 subscribers, or just, 3,000 subscribers like I got now, I'm going to try and maintain that level of communication, that level of interactivity with you guys, and we'll just see where it goes from here. I do appreciate all of you guys' support. I wouldn't be here without you guys. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing without you guys. And I hope we can all kind of get somewhere together. So I hope I answered some of you guys' questions today. I know for a Minecraft video it probably was rather dull and boring, but I don't have my webcam yet, so I wasn't able to shoot it live. So I figured this was at least give you something to kind of watch while I rambled on. So for those of you who had questions, I hope this answered them. If you've got questions, feel free to tweet me, feel free to message me on Facebook, or private message me on YouTube. Leave something in the comments below. Let me know what you think. If you're liking this series, please click that like button. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my other videos, tips, tricks, and guides. I'll catch you guys in the next clip.